But today we're looking over or inward. What? He said what now? We're looking over and inward to other genres. As fighting game players, I've heard a lot of sentiment about like, oh, devs don't know how to balance their games right. Devs don't pay attention to the community and what they want. Devs don't care about us. Devs make changes for their games without, considering the broader community at large when it comes to fighting games. These are all sentiments I've heard before. Right? Like they're turning X game into another game. This is so gross and disgusting. It sickens me. I'm gonna go play something else, or fuck this game and I'm still gonna play it. Generally, those are the sentiments I hear. And this is fighting game players, and they seem to think that no other genre of games, especially not competitive games, have this problem. And this showed up on my timeline today. So it's really funny to see as I hear that about Street Fighter 6 recently, as of late, when it comes to them not wanting to nerf JP, Ken, and Luke, and DJ, and Cammy yet, because the CPT is not going on and the game feels too stale. So here's something funny. Oh. It'll be funny, don't worry. Now it's funny. There it is. All healers will be able to self-heal in Overwatch 2. Tank and damage heroes will inherit a toned-down version of the self-heal passive, aiming to relieve support players and empower individual agency in Season 9. So for anyone who doesn't know Overwatch, I'm sure everyone's heard of Overwatch and Overwatch 2. They are very large games in scale and very popular games. Overwatch is a team-based hero shooter that there are classes. There are 3 classes, I believe. Hold on. We're getting to it. So there are 3 classes. There are tanks, damages, and heals. Right? Tanks, damages, and support. So those are the 3 classes in Overwatch. Some games have 3 classes. Some games have 4. But generally, there's a front line, there's a support, and then there's a damage. Right? Those are the ones that really are, ubiquitous when you think of team-based shooters. Now, generally in Overwatch, there's health packs on the map, and healers are absolutely necessary to keep the rest of the team alive, promoting team play, promoting keeping your healer alive, so the healer can keep the tank and everyone else alive, and kind of making this flowchart system of teamwork. That doesn't seem to be what they're aiming towards here, right? They said to relieve support players and empower individual agency. So the thing about supports is, if this game is, I don't remember if Overwatch 2 is 6v6 or 5v5, because I remember Overwatch was 6v6 at some point, right? So if Overwatch is 5v5, that's 1 tank, 2 damage, 2 heals, or 2 tank, 2 damage, 1 heal, or 2 damage, and I think you have to have 1 of each class, at least minimum on the team. And what this does is this allows damages and tanks to run around more freely without having to actually worry about and care about the healer, right? So you would think maybe, depending on the type of gamer and the type of situation the game is in right now, that this change would be welcomed with open arms. And then there's the other side where people are going to think this ruins the game. That is the exact sentiment we see constantly when it comes to fighting games. I kind of want to go through some of the comments because I'm sure they're going to be really funny. We're going to see some people comparing this to other games. Creeper already brought it up. As soon as I read this, I was like, this sounds like Paladins, right? Which I think is a better game, if you ask me. But some will say, oh my gosh, they're ripping Paladins, or they're ripping off the finals, or just whatever games have passive heals, right? And others will say, oh my gosh, people are going to be too hard to kill now. And I'm expecting a third comment somewhere along the lines of, no one's going to push payload now, right? Because everyone has self-heal, everyone has some amount of passive heals, which isn't the problem in other games with payloads. I'll let you know now. Paladins has a payload, and that game has a passive heal, and people still push the payload. I promise you, it's not just the tank sometimes, it's not just the healer. I've seen damages stand on the payload, knowing that it needed to be pushed, and tanks were off doing other things, right? Team-based play is team-based play. Let's take a look. The first response Every day we get closer and closer to becoming paladins. Didn't I call that? The first thing I see is someone referring to paladins in a negative connotation, or saying that, or saying that, like, you know, oh, you're trying to make it turn into like a shitty Kusoge game. I think, to be fair, I think Paladins is a more fun and more overall enjoyable game than Overwatch. I'll be real. Like, maybe it's not as polished, maybe it doesn't look as good, but I think the gameplay is significantly better. Crazy? It's a funny thing to do, right? Because I don't think most Overwatch players are gonna like this change. It seems weird to not listen to your community. It's almost like communities of other game genres don't have good developers or good developer relationships either, right? People say, oh, it's just fighting games. Like, fighting game devs don't listen to us. They leave Happy Chaos, the best character in the game, for like 6 patches. They fucking make Boxer and Hilda in Soul Calibur 4 and Street Fighter 5, and they just make brain dead baby characters, and they don't listen to us, right? This seems to be happening across many a game and many a genre when it comes to multiplayer competitive gaming, right? This is one of the first things I called, is that people were going to compare it to other games and say, oh, you're making your game shit. Look what you're doing. You're turning it into a different game that we don't want to play. I also said that people are going to say that people won't stay on point now. And I also said that people will say that people are too hard to kill. So let's see if we also see those things. The Overwatch dev team must be straight up smoking crack now. It's time to retire. Wait, relief supports. They haven't been the most warrior-free role in the entire game since Overwatch 2's launch. This just makes support even more of DPS heroes. They don't have the urgency to heal anymore, and everyone self-heals. I don't know if they're understanding the point. You don't heal in the midst of battle. If I understand this right, this passive self-heal is after you leave combat. So, similar to Paladins. So yes, you do still have to heal people so they can get back in the fight. If you don't heal someone, their self-heal, I mean, if someone's not out of the fight, their self-heal won't kick in, and they won't be able to heal, and they'll die, right? That's kind of, they are relieving healers. Maybe it's in a way that Overwatch players don't like, but I don't know if he fully understood the game plan here, the concept. Even less people will stay on the playload now. Called it. This is it. This is one of the ones I called too. Even less people will stay on the payload now. You have shit teammates. Oh, my bad. It's right there. You have shit teammates. You have dog shit doo-doo by their teammates if no one wants to stay on that payload and push the point. Sorry, right? Like I said, I play Paladins, and we have people who capture the payload who should not have to, who should not be capturing the payload or pushing the payload because it needs to be done. They want to win the game. I don't think that this is a good idea. DPS mains are going to complain again. It's too hard to kill. Two down! We called all 3 of the major complaints that I thought I would hear reading this article. And of course, read more, learn more. So, before you think, oh my gosh, fighting game players have it better, or oh my gosh, card game players have it better, or oh my gosh, shooting game players have it better, just understand that for the most part, the vast majority of the vocal minority, right? The vocal minority of people who are on the social media websites, on the Twitters, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, will see these things and generally are the more invested, competitive-ish audience, right? Even if they don't consider themselves competitively minded, they care about the game enough to understand that these changes might ruin the flow of their game in a way that doesn't feel competitively okay. Those people are always going to be the people that are going to complain on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or X, or Threads, whatever. Yeah, it's going to happen for every single game. Whether it be a card game where a card is too broken or a certain synergy of cards creates an infinite combo that no one likes because it's hard to interact with or annoying to play against or makes the game feel stale, or you're removing tools from characters in fighting games without buffing them, or vice versa, not having characters get nerfed fast enough so that it feels like the game is becoming stale, or in the case of shooting games, completely reworking the balance system of healing and not healing. As a person who doesn't play Overwatch, but watches Overwatch, I'll admit I watch it. Okay, I got friends who play it, and I like to support my friends, so. I watch a good amount of Overwatch, and I don't think the vast majority of players are gonna like this change, if I'm real. Do I think that it's an inherently bad change? No, I don't. Like, there's tons of shooting games where you passively heal over time, and it doesn't completely ruin the game and stop you from being able to kill people. It just means that after you get someone low enough and separate them from their healer, separate them from their tank, you have to push, right? That's all that means. It's not inherently a bad thing. Like, I don't honestly think that it's a terrible change. I think that Overwatch players will not like this because it is so far away from the norm of what they have become accustomed to in their game, and you probably shouldn't do it in fear of losing a giant chunk of your player base in a game that people are already kind of ragging and saying is really bad. That's just me. I'm sure you've seen this kind of change in your favorite game, whether it be a card game that they made a really broken, overpowered combo and didn't touch it for 6 months, and everyone had to deal with it on ladder, and even maybe in a tournament setting. Them changing the way a certain core mechanic or game system works, or maybe adding a new meter, or making meters have a new purpose. Wild Assault, Deflect Shield, in Guilty Gear Strive. Leave that in the comments down below. Talk about how you feel about this Overwatch change, or any change that kind of was a head scratcher for your community when it came to gaming. And just know that devs everywhere are making mistakes and correcting them, or maybe not correcting them, in all genre of competitive gaming. It just happened. Someone just said it again. For fuck's sake. Someone just said it again, right? So I want you guys to like the video, comment down below what I had previously mentioned, subscribe to the channel so we can get ever closer to 500 subscribers, maybe finally make some money on YouTube. And this has been Beanie Thuggish talking about community to developer relationships in competitive gaming, signing out and saying